terrify them. Go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them. With the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
But hey, that's just a theory. A theory.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
You've got a nice game studio here, China.
Yes.
We wouldn't want anything to happen to it.
What? Now, what my brother means is it'd be a shame if, Sorry, China. What is all this about?
How many devs you got here, China?
Oh, about 20?
Be a shame if someone was to call them all sexist.
Sexist?
We can guarantee you that not a single one of your devs will get called sexist for 7 mil.
No, absolutely not. Out of the question. What a ridiculous idea. What were you thinking, YouTuber? Cut to the video.
Hello. It is WTF Live, and we are back once again. Yeah! All right, seeing people in the chat already saying hello, and nice to see you as well. It's me, it's Will of the Fans, with my name being Will. See what I did there? And of course, I'm joined as always by Ryan Roger Athe and Rev Ravenwolf. Ryan, would you like to say hello?
Well, hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well, and it's great to see you all watching today. Unlike Dobby, I have some hair to comb, so I have been combing it quite well. Hopefully, we have a solid talk about some topics of the day, and hopefully, you will enjoy today's show. As for me, we'll be making a good 4 videos for today, and a reality-based show with this fine gentleman being on. One of 3 guests. So here's to a good WTF Live, and now on to Dobby, who is definitely not anorexic.
What?
Hi, I'm Dobby. I'm appearing 40 years before I'm meant to appear, because that makes perfect sense. So I'm exactly 40 years early for this show, but don't worry, that won't break canon at all. Hi, welcome to Will of the Fans. I'm Dobby. And yep, I'll be doing videos today. So always a pleasure to be.
All right. Weird intros, guys, but whatever. That's fine. It's a weird show and we're weird people. First off, though, we do seem to have our share of fans, as we can see from Jason Egdom, who just decided to join of his own volition. Thank you very, very much. Well appreciated. It takes everybody helping out for the show to be what it is, and it's doing quite well. So I appreciate everybody. Now, of course, today we have, well, just kind of an all-out attack on tradition. This is the common denominator that seems to be just shining through absolutely everything I'm talking about. When I'm talking about Doctor Who, I'm talking about actors who can't play the Doctor and people who celebrate them and pretend like nothing is wrong. That is, of course, an affront to tradition. We've got journalists acting as though they've forgotten the history of Gamergate and they're making up more and more and more complete and total lies about everything that's going on in the video game space, attacking tradition there as well, of course. We also have a doozy of a story that broke in the wee hours of the morning for me. And that, of course, as you and I both know, Ryan, from our quite emotional outbursts as a response to it, is the story of Just Stop Oil attacking Stonehenge with their girly little orange paint spray. We'll get into that and probably have a fair discussion about the kinds of hideous barbaric punishments that we'd like to see them endure. We also got to talk about the constant attacks on the tradition of Star Wars, and I'm really hoping we don't get time for it, but unfortunately the star of The Acolyte has released a music video where she plays like a victim despite being a pampered, spoiled brat. At present, I'm unable to find the video on the internet. It's disappeared up its own arse, apparently, but if somebody is able to find it, then I suppose we can stomach watching it once to react to it for you guys. Anyway, let us know how you're feeling about the various things we're talking about. You can send us super chats or just talk to yourselves, whatever, as we begin. And we might as well begin with the thing that brought us all together in the first place, which is Doctor Who. Well, I mean, what have we not said about Doctor Who at this point? I put out a video a couple of hours ago based on a New York Times article that I found that was doing the same jerking off of Ncuti Gatwa that we saw in the beginning. You might remember that we were dealing with the kind of marketing that you'd expect from this generation of activist trash bag journalists, everything to do with race, sexuality, and sex, because I refuse to use the word gender. It doesn't exist. But the reality is that this series has been a complete disaster, correct, boys?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I'd like to get Dobby's assessment. It's not often he goes first. So what's your assessment on the New York Times defending Disney Who, Dobby?
Again, we just see the media being retarded because the ratings don't lie. The fan base, or what's left of the fan base, doesn't lie. But all the time the media are like, yeah, you don't understand. You don't want to support it. It's not that we don't want to support it. Your show is shit.
Absolutely.
And it's always funny when the press comes out and they're trying to defend something that they know they shouldn't be defending because the ratings don't lie. I mean,
that is the problem. Yeah. Always the problem is the fact that we can see the ratings. We have seen the ratings. I can get them up again for no reason other than we might as well just do it again, because it's always fun to look at these numbers because, as you correctly pointed out there, Dobby, or Rev, I should call you, numbers don't lie. And these numbers are abysmal, starting with the high point, which is half of what they were getting at Christmas, and now having lost a significant portion of that already. I mean, you've lost 600,000 people from 2,600,000 people. That is like 20%. It's more than 20%.
Well,
it's
depending on how you analyze it, Will, Disney Who has lost between 50 to 60% of its viewership since starting with the 60th anniversary specials, whether you use the overnights as a basis, which is close to 60%, or the +7 TV +4, whatever the fuck that means, which is about closer to 50%. So the point is, folks, this show clearly hasn't resonated and it's bleeding out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the way that when we do these reviews, we have people saying, but you're a racist, you're a bigot, you don't understand. It's not that we're any of those. We understand the show. It's not working. That's badly written. Yeah, you got some CGI, big deal. This is Disney Who. But a show is nothing without a good story or actors that want to be there.
Yeah, Absolutely right. Now, of course, Disney Who, as you pointed out, actually starts at Christmas. Before that was the specials. They're part of it too, right?
Yes, yeah, that's why I made the argument that they lost 60% from the first overnight special till the last episode. It correlates to nearly 60%. It's about 58 or 59% reduction. Rounded to the nearest one, it's a 60% reduction, folks.
Well, we got 5.08 million at the start, which is, not that terrible, I suppose. But then that is because Tenant. And now we're down to 2.02 million, which is just absolutely awful. So, given that you've got 39.3% remaining, yeah, it is. It's 60% of the audience has gone since Tenant came back, and that is appalling. Number one thing I blame. Go on.
Well, I was just going to say, if that continues for the next, 2 years, 60% drop off, then assuming it gets a third season, because we know season 2 is confirmed, but if it gets a third season of Disney Who, I mean, what's 60% of 2.02? It's just above a million.
Let's have a look. What is? I don't care. I can't.
It's bleeding out, folks. This is
advanced. 1.42. Yeah.
And I love
just go down.
I love
more.
Like, oh my gosh, he's got to get
1.2. 1.2.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the after,
you'd be looking at less than a million. You'd be looking at 800,000 remaining, basically. If it lost another 60%, which it absolutely deserves to. I mean, you've been the one who's been clamoring for us to get sub 1 million this season. Which probably impossible at the beginning.
Yeah, I made that argument because it would have been so symbolic and would have given people the perfect argument to just get this show cancelled and put Doctor Who out of its misery before there's nothing left to salvage.
Yeah. I mean, the number one reason, I mean, what do you think is the biggest reason that this has been a disaster?
Because it's a woke fest. I mean,
sure. So the writing then?
What Russell T Davies is just pandering based on gender politics, introducing an actor who just plays the victim. What did they expect would happen? That there's no storylines. It's the same old thing. The doctor cries, does some pandering, and if we speak out about it, suddenly we're racists.
Everything that could have gone wrong with this show, apart from the production of this show, has gone wrong with this show. People enjoyed the 60th anniversary specials despite the political correctness, despite the social justice and identity politics, despite the pandering. Why? Because for the most part, people stuck around for those 3 specials, and even for the Christmas special, where that Doctor Who fucker, N. Cutty, that's what I call the fucker, shooty my ass. Spell it, shooty, and I'll say it.
I mean, that is literally what it says in the article that we're going to get to.
Well, even with him in his first episode, his first full episode, the Church of Ruby Sunday, even in that, the ratings held. But then people watched it. They had time to review it over many months. And it didn't resonate with people in the long term, which led to this show starting off at 50% below where it should have been, 40 to 50%. And it's been bleeding out ever since.
Right, exactly. I mean, personally, I think that the writing's terrible. Yeah, the writing is absolutely appalling. The stories don't make sense. They are lazy, contrived, riddled with plot holes, utter garbage. We know this. I've said it in like half the reviews that I've done on these episodes that we've seen this past series. But the biggest problem for me is Gatwa himself. It is. It's like, even if you were to write something halfway decent for this guy, I'm not convinced he could act his way out of a paper bag.
Exactly.
He's gone from absolutely insufferable in the first episodes, the first 2, to turning in an almost decent performance in the 3rd episode, mostly because he was pinned to the spot. He couldn't move and had to wrestle with some quite complicated stuff that needs to be done, like having to adjust your balance or not being able to move and seeing people in front of you that you care about dying. It was all right. But then, of course, that's Moffat's writing. He's still not good enough to play the Doctor then. He's not got gravitas. He's not got any semblance of the kind of complexity that you need to be able to play the Doctor. They literally want you to think that he's a good actor because he can cry, because he cries all the fucking time. But as I pointed out,
well, I was going to say, we know from previous Doctors that you can have shaky scripts, you can have bad scripts and bad episodes, but the Doctor can pull it through. When you have a great actor playing a great Doctor, even the most mediocre, nonsensical of episodes can still hold their own. A great example would be the final season of Peter Capaldi's run. Quite a few stinkers in season 10, folks. It was a soft reboot, but that man, Peter Capaldi, carried that series right to the end.
Absolutely. I mean, even though no one believed that he actually wanted to leave when he had to leave because of the politicking that was going on, and of course Chibnall took over and wanted only a female Doctor, famously. So of course then Capaldi had to go, and you can tell even in his regeneration speech that there's a certain amount of trepidation about what's coming next. And it seems almost like he's barely even in character for the speech. He's just playing a massive lifelong Doctor Who fan who's terrified of what comes next. And rightly so, because of course what came next was the beginning of a slippery slope that has now seen us in this fucking mess of a series where the Doctor is going around screaming every emotion at the top of his lungs. I mean, hell, we started the series with a giant exposition dump about absolutely everything you could possibly need to know about him, about his name, about the fact that that's not his name, about the Time Lords, about Gallifrey. It literally ground the episode to a halt for like a minute of exposition for no reason at all. We could have done what they always do and just trickled it out little by little. RTD knows how to do this. That's what he did with 9 and 10. It's bizarre that they haven't tried this, and Gatwa probably couldn't have pulled it off anyway, because as I pointed out in the video that I made earlier on, all the most interesting characters in any kind of entertainment are the slightly enigmatic ones, the stoic ones who don't let you know who they are right away. Look at a character like Han Solo, for example. All you really know about him is that he's extremely competent at smuggling and fighting, and that he's his chief concerns are staying alive and making enough money to win back his freedom from Jabba the Hutt. And that, other than that, you got no idea what's going on in the guy's head. He lies constantly about what he's actually feeling. He does things that are completely... There would have been, for example, no emotional impact of him returning to help Luke at the Death Star at the Battle of Yavin if you knew that he was the kind of guy who would do that. If he was a gushy, emotive mess. Just not masculine at all. And yet, what do we get when we see the kind of... We're winding up to the end of the season now. Most of it is all said and done. And the legacy of Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor is a blubbering, emotional, incompetent mess of a Doctor who cannot do anything without almost killing himself in every single episode. It's embarrassing. And unfortunately, though, here comes the kind of trash that you can expect for the next month or two. Whenever anybody is commissioned to write about the 15th Doctor, they're celebrating all of these traits. And this is why I'm convinced that the reason the series hasn't worked is you can't have these kinds of plots on the shoulders of a man who falls apart and cries about every single thing. And of course, the best example of this incompetent Doctor is when he was barely even noticed that Ruby Sunday wasn't with him in Rome. And by the time he even thought about her, it was to consider that she is 99% likely dead. Why is this? Because he was too busy trying to get some cock.
Sure,
Frankly.
that episode was like Be the doctor instead of trying to get laid. At least try and do something. It's okay. It doesn't matter if the companion dies. I mean, it's no biggie.
I mean, yeah, literally, that is it. He's like, oh, this is a nice ballroom. What's that? Oh, a strange interference on the psychic earrings. I wonder if I can find myself a nice butthole to pound later. And then that's all he does.
Yeah, that's just so egregious, man. If you want to be a lazy bastard when it comes to writing, rip off your own stories, give them a modern twist for a modern audience. Instead of Rose, you have Ruby. Instead of the end of the world, you have the start of the world. Instead of aliens of London, you have fucking monsters from Essex. I don't know, but please.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Just rip off your own work and move it a little bit. Star Wars tried to do this, and they did it with The Force Awakens, and it made them bank.
Absolutely
Inventive.
So
to do that, RTD. Not even inventive enough to do that.
But the problem is, though, that no matter how bad this has been, and believe me, this has been probably the worst series ever. I think a lot of people in my comments have stopped debating and now just sort of unilaterally agree that they would prefer Whittaker to come back with Chibnall. And I mean, that's a hell of a fucking thing to say. But unfortunately, if you... what am I trying to say? Gat was never going to know this. He's never going to get anywhere near this reality of us saying this now and the fans talking about it like this, because he will be surrounded by glad-handing yes men. And for want of a better expression, no homo. But... and puff pieces like this one from the New York Times, which I'm going to read some of anyway, because I've highlighted a few quotes that made my skin crawl especially badly. And it's just this assault on what the Doctor and what the series is supposed to represent. One huge chunk of which is Britain, frankly, the country that everyone seems to have forgotten, the country whose future hangs in the balance in the next couple of weeks. And
I tell you, man, I want to get reality-based politics up and running again. Oh no, I'm not that influential. But things are moving a lot quicker than I thought. So that's probably why they called an early election. Wink, wink, nod, nod. But please, please
trying to stop him from gathering Trump level popularity too quickly, but I don't think that will stop him. I don't know. We'll see, I suppose. But as long as it's not one of the two main parties, it would be better for the UK almost invariably. However, the point is that you would be hard pressed to believe that this show has anything whatsoever to do with the UK anymore, apart from it being an occasional setting. But of course, it's never the UK, is it? It's London, which is not even really part of the UK.
Wales.
Or Wales, apparently. What did they do with Wales when they had an episode set there? Everyone was an arsehole. They mocked her for a genuine concern. And then she got out of there on a train because they didn't want to give her a room anymore.
It would have been so funny if they all just spoke Welsh at her and then looked at her funny for not knowing Welsh.
Yeah. Or if everything around her was written in Welsh so she couldn't understand it or something along those lines. But anyway, that still remains probably the most horrifyingly bad episode of the bunch in terms of writing. But overall, the reason the series sucks ass so badly is because the Doctor is not the Doctor. But that doesn't mean that the New York Times won't jerk him off at every second to the point where he will never understand just how bad he really is. Even the first fucking line of this is literally a Macante level kind of dialogue from Gatwa. He says, "Giving, that dress is giving."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Said Shooty Gatwa with a burst of unbridled laughter. You know what kind of person laughs after everything they say?
Narcissists.
Narcissists and the unconfident, the terminally unconfident.
I saw this guy acting in a video game called Grid, an EA racing game. He was one of the characters for the story. And guess how his racing costume looked? It's all fucking pink. Pink and the black bits were for the sponsorships, and he had a pink hat. He was like the effeminate racer, and he was black, obviously, but he was wearing all pink. I think it was called Grid Legends off the top of my head, and he's on the cover of the game. Yeah.
Oh God.
It's fucking egregious, man. And when
Playing
I
a
saw him do that,
Valentin Manzi.
yeah, I saw what he was doing with that, and I thought, this man is not even good enough for this kind of project. Like Need for Speed levels of live action acting.
What the hell was this even doing in a game?
A racing game. Living proof you can wokify a racing game with the story mode.
Gosh.
But this is also like what helped kill Doctor Who is you have your main actor who's in a fucking skirt dancing around doing an advertisement holding onto the sonic butt plug, and Disney thought, yeah, this is great marketing. Oh, we're cool now.
Am I the only one who thinks Manzi sounds like man mixed with pansy? It's a perfect name for him.
Because I was actually the only reason I found this out was because I'm a fan of racing games, and I was looking for some on the Xbox marketplace, and I came across this game, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is Doctor Who 2 doing in a racing game?
I thought he was a Power Ranger. I mean,
he does. He looks like a Power Ranger, doesn't he? He looks like the Pink Ranger. Yeah, like what was her name? Kimberly from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He looks like that. Well,
his acting is not even good enough for this, for like a Need for Speed-esque type live action story of a racing game. He's not even good enough for this. Never mind being the main man for one of the greatest and oldest science fiction franchises of all time.
Oh, I mean, arguably the greatest. I mean, Hitchhiker's Guide is the legend, but Doctor Who's been around the longest. So it depends on how you rate. It's like trying to say who's the greatest wrestler. There's too many variables.
Hulk Hogan.
However, one thing that we can certainly say is the Doctor would not be caught dead saying that dress is giving, like he's a Kotaku journalist. Apparently, yeah, and then giggling like a little kid afterwards. And then it points out that his first name is indeed pronounced Shooty. Just for you there, Ryan. See? Oh,
pow, 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 pow.
He laughs a lot, often at himself. Oh, just great. That's what we need. A Doctor who has no confidence. Wonderful. How are you supposed to face the Daleks down if they're shouting exterminate and you're going, oh, that plunger is giving. Oh my fucking Christ. Anyway, he talks about having to move a footstool. Varada Sethu is correcting him on the fact that the art department aren't there. They talk about how he's got to this point, basically. And then, of course, they have to go through the fact that he grew up in a working class home in Dunfermline, which is an extremely key point because he wasn't born there. He grew up there, but he was not born there. They'll go into his the circumstances of his birth a bit later in this. And he says this. He says, Doctor Who is something I remember as almost over our heads, something we knew was important culturally, like the royals.
At least Jodie Whittaker admitted she didn't know anything about Doctor Who. This guy's just an idiot.
I find his origins, his like growing up origins, to be a bit suspect because no one with that kind of Ponzi attitude would survive in a working class environment in a Celtic nation. They certainly wouldn't in Wales, and we literally have a homosexual trope for people like Cutty Gatwa. I mean, in the 90s and 2000s, folks, Scotland, especially Scottish towns and inner cities, suffered from tremendous poverty and insane levels of drug abuse. So for him to be prancing about like a pufter, no, you didn't grow up in a working class home unless you're the next. Who was that ballerina film where the guy's homo?
Oh, I don't know, man. I have no idea. I
forgot his name. Billy Elliot. Yeah,
Billy Elliot.
You're the black Billy Elliot. Fuck are you?
Shooty Elliot. Whenever you say N-Cutty instead of Shooty, by the way, you just immediately remind me of the bad guys from Crash Bandicoot. I'd really like to see some like caricature of Shooty Gatwa with like N-Cutty, Dr. N-Cutty or something like that. That would crack me
Dr.
up.
N-Cutty Cortex.
Yeah, like that, yeah.
No wonder the
Anyway,
haven't cracked yet. They don't want to get close to the doctor. They might get sexually assaulted like he did to
Oh,
Rose.
for God's sake. I did wonder, like, what the doctor, the gay doctor would say when he sees a Dalek. Like, I mean, that
Penetrate!
shape of creature
Penetrate!
with the plunger and stuff. Like, what's he gonna? I'm kind of glad we never got to see that, or at least we haven't yet.
Too.
I really hope we don't. I'm not convinced that this doctor can actually do anything about a Dalek. What is he going to do? He'll actually twerk at it, wouldn't he?
He'll twerk on the little thing, the little gun, and then that's what destroys it.
No. Anyway, the one thing I wanted to point out about this quote is when he points out like the royals is something over our heads. Like, is that supposed to be a bad thing or a good thing? What's his point there? Like, if it's so over your head, then why are you so happy to be complicit in desecrating it? Because he speaks there like he's revering the things that are over his head, but he clearly isn't.
It's a bait and switch, because usually when folks highlight something, as I said before, the core of highlighting the problem is highlighting it. And he's just highlighting in a very similar way to how Cabrutus just highlighted all the games that were connected to Sweet Baby Inc. Oh, I'm not highlighting any problem. I'm just highlighting them. You can't touch me now. And yeah, you have to infer. And it's more likely that he is inferring against them than for them.
And considering we have King Woke now anyway on the throne, I'm surprised if anyone on their side has a problem with the Royals anymore. But whatever. Anyway, he says British casting has taken a long time to diversify. Why would it be now and why me? Well, yeah, it has taken a long time to diversify. And that implies that diversification is the thing you should have been doing for all this time, which, of course, is the central conceit of their argument, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Diversifying is not a good thing inherently. It must be done for the right reasons and in the right ways. It's
actually extremely dangerous as well to diversify anything, because if you mix, for example, chemicals, mix too many chemicals together and you'll get one hell of a big bang, just like people. And I think I have an answer to his question, why would it be now and why me? The answer to that is, N-Cutty, is that you're the best chance we have of rolling the clock back 50 to 70 years to when you people weren't a problem.
Oof.
in both contexts.
I see. Well, yeah, maybe. Anyway, he says
me to drink, Will. He's forced me to drink a Trayan. That's how insane
What are you
I
drinking?
am.
What is that?
Cola. It's Kingsley Cola.
Oh.
It's 80 pence in the UK.
Never heard of it. Never ever heard of it. Anyway, this whole thing here, they talk about how he's got to get it right and live up to the amazing people. Has he done that, guys?
No, not even bloody close.
Not even close. Gradually, he says, it became clear to me that there isn't a mold you need to step into to portray the Doctor. There isn't?
A dog would be a better Doctor than N-Cutty Katwa.
K9 would be better, yeah. Absolutely. But there is absolutely a mold for the Doctor. I mean, the superficial aspects of his personality are completely changeable, of course, like the appearance and the demeanor, but the core person has to be the same. Even though Matt Smith, for example, was a lot more sort of impish and jovial than the others before him, when he was mad, he still brought the thunder, you know? I'm just not convinced that Gatwa could bring anything more than a tiny little squall. You know?
And like we
anyway,
said, he hasn't beaten anything yet. I mean, he's committed mass murder of goblins, but that's about it.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. He wasted those goblins, and that's it. And then I guess reflecting on the genocide that he decided to become a pacifist coward who cries all the time. I don't know. I do not understand. But yeah, I have no tolerance for it. And RTD, of course, is trying to defend all this by saying, "Oh, well, it's not changed that much. It's still me sitting with a script, making good dialogue for actors.
Jesus Christ.
Good dialogue, like give me the love it."
How 20 years changes a person, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I'm not like 180 degrees different in the span of 20 years. I'll probably have a lot less hair in 20 years, but I ain't gonna fucking change nearly as insanely as Rusty Tin Dildo.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that what you find with young people who get older is that they almost always end up leaning more and more to the conservative side. The only people who don't are the people who are constantly reinforced with increasing levels of leftism. And of course, that's the entertainment and the news media. So that's why they get more and more radicalized instead of becoming more and more just mid-normal Joe Blogs man on the street. You know?
I mean, you could easily come up with storylines that are far better than what we've seen. You know, Doctor Who 2 takes on Uranus, which is like a sentient planet now, and he has to penetrate Uranus to save the solar system. Yeah.
Except like the drill goes floppy.
And he's got to get it erect. He's got to erect it.
So he's got to, oh God, no. Call the rogue if you wanted that. Anyway, RTD, of course, continues to ignore the fact that there is a massive audience that wants to see Doctor Who. He says he wants a young audience watching, and they talk about their emotions, express their emotions in a healthy way. Do we agree with this?
Talking about emotions. No, this is Doctor Who. It's not standing around a effing water cooler like on the CW shows. It's meant to be a sci-fi show where the Doctor actually does more things instead of standing around going, "Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. Oh my gosh, I need a lover." It's
this is the problem Chin Balls had when he did Doctor Who. It's not a fucking drama. This isn't Broadchurch. You don't have 10 minutes of action adventure and then sit down and talk for 5 to 10 minutes, which really takes sci-fi fans out of the picture. And to ask, my goodness, to answer rather a question from Bman, I don't think Dobby will be around in 20 years. Look how frail he looks. Look how frail he looks. But
always got to punch down there, Ryan.
I know.
Okay, well, I think when I saw this, I think to myself, well, I remember when I was growing up as a young man, not as a teenager, but when I actually achieved adulthood and went into the world and yeah, everything on TV, everything in the media, everything in the culture was basically saying, "Oh, you should be metrosexual," and I rejected that, of course, like the plague. But the idea that modern men should be more in touch with their emotions and blah 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 and things like that was a deceptively attractive idea for a young dude, because it's effectively telling you don't have to try as hard or try to excel in any way. You can just be mediocre and emotionally weak, and that will work. And in later years, especially when I came to Asia, I discovered that in at least the East, women here want a man. They want someone who's going to tough it out and support them and make decisions that they don't want to have to make. And if you're wandering around going, "Oh no, we should make all our decisions together, we should," you are not going to be impressing anybody. You have to man the fuck up, and that means stop talking about your bloody emotions and make some money.
Well, that's the irony of the second and to a lesser extent the third world. The reason they are so based is because they learned from the best, because our recent ancestors dominated the world with a mindset that the second and to a lesser extent the third world now possess, while the first world has gone completely batshit fucking crazy and has been brainwashed to oblivion. I mean, the Philippines is a great example. It was civilized by the Spanish, then it was civilized again by the Americans. Japan tried to fuck them up, and then America came back, and then they became independent. And in all that time, they have developed and grown. And I think for the rest of this century, they're going to prosper, while the First World, tears itself to shreds, unless this brain rot that is infesting Western civilization, which is the First World, unless that is removed or purged, the First World is going to collapse, while the Second World will dominate, and the Third World will continue to grow. So, yeah. There's your geopolitical lesson for today.
Absolutely right. Yeah, no, I agree. As someone living in the Philippines, that it is on the up and up. There is a growing tide of leftism that needs to be watched out for, definitely. But fortunately, in the most recent election, it was stamped out thoroughly by a massive tide of pulling towards conservatism. And I think even then the president said that young people would have to go and do military service, like mandatory, to stop them becoming such damn snowflakes. So good for them. If that has indeed happened. I'm too busy looking at Western pop culture to pay much attention, honestly. Maybe my missus can tell me. I don't know. Anyway, RTD is saying, along came Shooty, who is one of those actors who pour with feeling, i.e. absolutely not the kind of actor you want playing the Doctor. Look at David Tennant. David Tennant can be an incredibly emotional performer. He can gush and look at them. Did you ever see the behind the scenes of The End of Time? The moment where he first says, I don't want to go. Well, remember there were like 4 different takes of that, and there were different degrees of him being an emotional wreck. The last one, he was whang out about no, don't want to go, and they ended up using like the second take because it was more subdued. It was emotional enough, but still that rare moment of the Doctor actually allowing a little emotion to trickle out. And these, again, are the most interesting characters in all of entertainment, and they reflect a traditional masculinity that, once again, is an element of tradition that is under attack. That is the through line of everything we're talking about today. Davis, on the other hand, celebrates the fact that when Shooty is sad, tears pour from his eyes. And when he's happy, that smile lights up the universe.
Is he trying to flirt with Shooty Gatwa? Is that what's going on between them?
I mean, I think that part already happened a long time ago. But anyway, the article goes on to say, viewers who watched Gatwa's Doctor battle the maestro, Jinx Monsoon, perform a song and dance number, stand on a landmine for an entire episode, and suit up in Regency attire for a Bridgerton-themed episode are likely to agree. Well, I'm a viewer who's watched Gatwa's Doctor battle the maestro, Mr. Ever, perform a song and dance number, stand on a landmine for an entire episode, and suit up in a Regency attire for a Bridgerton-themed episode, and I disagree wholeheartedly. I think what you have created is absolute brain rot gash of the highest order and needs to be literally rendered into physical media, if only so we can create a huge bonfire of DVDs of this series and burn an effigy of the 15th Doctor. And I don't care what people say about that being racist.
Well, I think there's a strange irony that the BBC for a long time never wanted another Tom Baker, a man who was literally the Doctor for a very long time, was the show's greatest asset, and when he left, the show's greatest curse, because no one could fill in his shoes. Let's face it, folks.
It did take a long time.
Let's face it, folks. David Tennant could have made it to the 50th anniversary. Peter Capaldi could still be the Doctor today. It's usually because of behind-the-scenes stuff and learning from history that we don't have doctors who stay there for a long time, and the man's still alive. Yes, he looks very, very frail, but he is still alive. And it just
he looks like your average 90-year-old, to be honest. He looks a lot brighter behind the eyes than my grandfather did when he was 90. He lived to be 99, so that's a good thing. But
well, hang on in
there's something about that generation, man. There's something about that generation that just survives. They just endure. They're just tough motherfuckers, and
because they faced
actual
two forces.
problems.
Yeah, they faced two
world
forces.
Wars, yeah.
Two world wars and two forces that wanted to destroy the Western world, whether it was fascism or communism.
Communism, indeed, yeah. You can't teach that, buddy. You cannot teach experience, which is another problem I have with Gatwa's Doctor, is that he doesn't seem to be able to access his own memories.
No.
There's many instances where Tennant's Doctor or Eccleston's or Capaldi's or Smith's or anyone like that would evoke something that would throw you back to the older series and make you think of other Doctors and how they would react. And of course, experiences that the Doctor's been through in the however long he's been traveling, that you just know these problems facing Gatwa's Doctor would be nothing to him, would be tiny, infinitesimal to deal with, and yet he's crying and panicking and you fucking pussy.
I mean,
Anyway,
the other thing is, right, he doesn't, like Tennant or Capaldi, they would have had the gravitas to remember in their memories that they had a fucking granddaughter. Shooty's like, are you my granddaughter? Is your name Susan? It's like, dude, what the heck?
yeah, it's weird, isn't it? They go on, though, to say that he feels like a doctor for the 21st century. Guys, I'm fucking tired of the 21st century, and it's only been 24 years. I've had enough of this wretched century. I am destined to die without getting to see the 22nd, in all likelihood.
You never know. You never know.
As good as it gets for me, baby.
Hey,
Unless
you
they
never
actually
know
invent
with
the technology.
Exactly. You never know when it comes to technology. We have gone leaps and bounds over the past 24, 25 years. The stuff today.
Yeah, but every aspect of it has removed more and more of our freedom and our rights.
Yes,
I just don't believe if the technology exists, I'm going to get to use it.
Well, that's the battle of the 21st century. I mean, the battle of the 20th century was physical, which peaked with the atomic bombs, and the battle of the 21st century is mental and psychological, and the ultimate weapon for that, I don't think, has been unleashed yet. Maybe in the middle of the century it will be, but one day, folks, we are going to see the nuclear weapon of information being unleashed, and that is a scary sight indeed.
What would that even be? How could you even? I don't know.
Well, think of a nuclear weapon, Will, and then think of it in the internet, like a massive explosion of destruction.
Yeah, I know. I can understand it, but so far it's only been used to attack individuals, not countries or groups. Interesting conversation to have later, but let me carry on with this rubbish right now, because that's what I unfortunately came here to do. They're saying he's stylish and liberated with a vibe that is sensual and unbuttoned. What the fuck does that mean?
What is that English?
I mean, technically, yes, but what? I don't know what they're trying to say.
I'll give it the appropriate response.
100101100.
Might as well.
You might as well. Why in any fucking blistering cunt of a world would you want a doctor who is described as stylish, liberated, sensual, and unbuttoned? Wouldn't you prefer, intellectual, powerful, restrained, godlike?
The perfect description of a prostitute: stylish, liberated, sensual, and unbuttoned.
It's a cold boy, a red boy.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe that's
it's a fucking red boy. Yeah, it is. Oh no. All right, that's enough of that.
That's all the culture war is, Will. We're battling sex workers.
It seems to always end up that way, doesn't it? Just Melissa McCante, yeah. Anyway, to have the human qualities the Doctor lacks apparently is the companion's role, accurately described by Millie Gibson. But that's about the last sensible thing that she says. She says Ruby's youth allows him to let out his inner child. Well, why didn't Rose Tyler allow the other doctors to do that? She's the same age. They're both 19, aren't they? As far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
At least at the beginning. Gatwa is a force of nature, apparently. He has this aura about him that everything can feed off.
Like AIDS. It's a force of nature.
He's a host for multiple parasites, apparently. Anyway, there's a load of bollocks. There's a load of more about it. Then they talk about how he was from Rwanda, of course, and he was 2 years old when his parents moved to Scotland with their 3 children to escape the 94 Rwandan genocide. And I still maintain that if he'd been 5 or 6 years old and not 2, he would not be anything like he is right now.
Oh, absolutely. Trying to run from that kind of situation, folks, and it was the Rwandan genocide was genuinely horrific. The amount of people that were killed so quickly without any kind of modern machinery. Most of the people who were slaughtered, and it was at least a solid million, were slaughtered through, swords and spears, that sort of thing, and knives and other sharp objects. It was only when the genocide was ended by an invading force that the true devastation of the casualties took hold. And action wasn't taken because at the same time in Europe, Yugoslavia was falling to fucking bits, and Bosnians and Serbs were massacring each other. So, attention divided. One was prioritized and the other wasn't.
Absolutely. It's a complete mess. I just maintain that. What's the difference between Shooty Gatwa? For fuck's sake. What's the difference, right, between this
What?
Oh, God.
and this?
One wants to make you pull your eyes out, and the other is, okay, bring him back.
Yeah. I mean, one is a survivor. One is a man who has had a long life, lived through a lot, seen the best and the worst of everything. The other is a twink.
I just figured it out, Will. One is the 20th century and the other is the 21st.
There it is, mate. There it is. Correct. Once again, tradition is under attack. I'll get to the point at the end of this, as we can see the various incredible acting.
Look at the costume of 73 yards, and look at the costume for Boom. They're literally inverted.
Yeah.
They're inverted.
Well, I mean, in one he looks like a greaser, and in the other he looks like gay Paddington Bear. And then, of course, you've got the blaxploitation, and never gonna actually happen. Everything. I mean, literally none of these are his apparent main costume.
No.
Like, he's supposed to be wearing that leather jacket, the brown leather jacket with that fucking gay little trans-colored vest.
You know what he's wearing in Devil's Cord, I think would have been a good look for all these episodes.
You think?
Yeah.
Shaft-looking doctor?
Yeah, because it would have fit well with, the historical. It would have fitted so well for the historical, despite it being out of the period. He would at least look similar. And in the other episodes, he would look a bit too formal, but it would be an example of a well-tailored doctor. He may have kept the hair as well.
I know,
That
yeah.
could have
Well,
been
I
his
mean, that
look.
is natural hair, isn't it? It's not been done up in any way or any, there's no product in it. There's nothing. It's just a big damn fro, Yeah, fair enough. I can see that. Of course, you'd have to change the theme tune. It would have to be Doctor Who or something along those lines, because otherwise, if you've not got wiki bass lines going in the background, then that's just not going to suit that costume. But that's blaxploitation for you. An interesting period of cinema for sure. He talks about how he was in like a high school production of We Will Rock You, and he says, I must have been so bad, but at that point I was like, this is what I want to do.
He's right. He is so bad, and this is what he's done to the Doctor.
Yeah, that's fair. And so is Archie Collins' point there. But you have to wonder about the standards of journalistic integrity in this day and age, that they're writing in all that, like, all caps crap, like they're writing a text message to their friend.
It's all propaganda. It's all propaganda.
It's only a matter of time until this once great publication is using emojis in the body text. Do you know what I mean?
How far the New York Times has fallen. It was one of the sources of American mainstream journalism for decades. And now look what's happened to it. Just another casualty in the 21st century culture war.
Absolutely. There it is. Gatwa, to finish this off, Gatwa said that playing Eric, a lovable gay teenager from a religious British Nigerian family over 4 seasons, taught him to be braver. So you're basically just playing a more courageous version of yourself. And yet we're celebrating his acting ability. I mean, what is like casting me in a movie where I play a middle-aged freaking foreign British guy living in Asia? All right. Yeah, like what's the point of that? Like, yeah, I know how to play that. Don't ask me to play anything else though.
His best acting role is when he acts as himself, and that's how these people infest everything. They indoctrinate everyone they can through the institutions, and then from there they project themselves onto others. And if you resist that projection, you are the enemy, you're the target, we have to cancel you, and if we can get away with it, we will destroy you, and if you resist anymore, we'll do you in. And they will. If they can get away with it, they will do in anyone who stands in their way, just like their 20th century communist brethren.
Absolutely right. Just for the sake of reference there, that of course is him in Sex Education on the left, and of course in Barbie.
It's the same man.
Where he played one of the Kens.
He's the same man. I mean,
well,
almost every role,
basically, yeah.
Yeah, in every role he is in, he plays himself.
Yeah, it doesn't play
the role.
I mean, in what universe 20 years ago, if I went up to you and said, "Oh, I think we found the actor to play our next Doctor." Oh, yeah, what's he been in? Well, he played one of the Kens in Barbie.
There's a Barbie film?
Yeah.
I'd tell you to get out of my fucking office. That's what I'd say.
I mean, 2004, the idea of a Barbie film. I mean, Will's so old, folks. When was he 20? Before or after the Iraq War? That's up to you
2005, dude. 2005.
Oh, okay. So after. Okay.
I mean, if you're going to be an actor, you shouldn't actually be saying, yeah, I was just an extra in a film.
I was a background Ken.
Yeah.
That sounds like it has gay connotations as well, doesn't it? Man, you'd see that guy flouncing around outside the pub. He's a real back.
That's why it's so important to highlight the problem. Because if we don't highlight the problem, folks, these fuckers get away with it and they infest everything. That's why ignoring them is no longer an option. When you see them, you have to highlight them. Because if you don't, it's like an infection. Once they're there, they will spread. And they will target those who are most susceptible to them. And in this case, it would be young people, which RTD has said himself is his main target. The younger, the better in regards to this indoctrination. And yeah, we are where we are today because there has not been enough resistance to political correctness, to social justice, to identity politics, to these rampaging hordes that destroy everything they touch. That's why it's so important for fine folks and fellow creators to speak their minds, to highlight the problem, and not just find the solution, but be the solution in finding the solution. More the merrier.
Excuse me.
I set off Will's allergies.
I've been trying to suppress that cough for about 20 minutes now, but it's not working.
I'm so based that Will is having an allergic reaction to it. But it'd be great to get Dobby's.
You read the last
view.
quote.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. The last paragraph. Gatwa had another take. I feel like Doctor Who has always been a bit camp, he said. I mean, it's a time-traveling alien in a British police box.
Thank you. Yeah. And now, I mean, how do we react to that?
Nonsense.
Complete nonsense, right? With a capital nonce. I mean, a bit camp. First of all, there's a major difference between a bit camp and totally gay. I think we can all agree with that, right? artooleetoo is here and still drunk, apparently. And also shout out to Adam Juneman for being a vet. Thank you for your service. He says it's been a bit camp. I mean, it's a time-traveling alien in a British police box. I don't know why that gets described as camp exactly. I know that British comedy has a history of being slightly over the top and camp. I mean, look at the Carry On movies, for Christ's sakes. It's funny how you can imagine that there's like not a tolerant attitude towards gay people when the Carry On movies exist. But, you know, this is the great big lie. It's ridiculous that they feel the need to do this. And of course, it's destructive. But overall, this has been yet another pointless jacking off of a bad actor, simply to save face from the fact that this guy just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have that X factor that is needed. He doesn't have the freaking guns to carry Doctor Who. And
he's the same guy that wants to be Willy Wonka.
Oh God.
And be surrounded by little children. No, thank you.
Yeah. Would you trust your children in a chocolate factory with this man?
Oh, hell
No, because he could be hiding in the chocolate. Moving on.
Racists in the chat. And if you're not a member, what the hell's wrong with you? Let's get some more greens out there. Anyway, yeah, this is ridiculous.
There goes the
now, I guess since we're still on the traditional side of it, let's get angry before we start to see some positivity, because we do need to cover the things that are going on outside of entertainment as well as the things that are going on inside entertainment. And of course, that means that it's time to talk about this.
Fucking Just Stop Fucking Oil needs to be flogged publicly, hung, drawn, quartered, publicly burnt alive at the fucking stake for doing what they did. Not that I'm, you know, you've still not gone as far as I said last night when I found out about this. I said that they need to take these people and before they put them under the prison, have a public execution on all channels, on all networks, and all social media is disabled unless it is playing only it. They're disgusting human beings. These people.
How Libyan of you, Will?
I know, right? I know. I went full corporal punishment. Corporal punishment.
No, it's actually capital punishment, but still.
All right, capital punishment then. Whatever the difference is.
Well, I
In the
will
meantime,
say
James Opp has just gifted five Will of the Fans memberships. Thank you very much. Oops, I played it twice. Fucking stupid loop. Oh, well. Anyway, so Just Stop Oil decided that it was time for them to attack Stonehenge. Have we not seen enough of these people? They decided this after they've had a history in recent years of attacking works of art and lying down in roads, I believe, Ryan. It's been, and Rev, I don't know, it's been a few years since I was in the UK. Is this the kind of thing that's going on a daily basis or what?
Yeah, it was when I left the UK, but yeah, they haven't changed.
Not often, but it's always specifically targeted at certain dates. And this was targeted the day before the summer solstice, so that the solstice celebrations could either not be done or be sabotaged as a result of these actions. They pick specific times and days and in specific key areas, which does indicate that this is nothing more than eco-terrorism at this point, because they are deliberately targeting strategic points of interest, whether it's in terms of history, like we've seen here in their attacks on art museums, or strategic in terms of transport links in which they cut them off, in order to highlight what they perceive to be a problem, which is the concept of global warming, the concept of climate change, the concept of using oil being damaging to the environment, although without oil in some way, shape, or form, we wouldn't be able to properly maintain machinery and our industrial society would literally collapse on itself. That's why the biggest worry when it comes to oil, should we ever run out of it, and some people think oil is as common as water, but if we ever run out of oil, then our industrial society collapses.
I mean, there is, that argument. There is a lot more oil than people tend to think there is, though, because the media tries to make it out like it's the most scarce thing, like it's rarer than gold or diamonds, but it's really not yet, and won't be for a couple of 100 years at least. But these people have decided that kind of, I don't know if it's oxymoronic or just straight up hypocrisy, because you need gas and things like that to power these paint canisters that they use. Look, it's disgraceful. At the end of the day, as I said when I found out it happened, they're damned lucky that the people who built that weren't standing behind them, staring them down, because that would be the last breath they ever take. They are disgusting. They're disrespectful. There is no need for this kind of vandalism. And it's not just like, I mean, when was Stonehenge supposedly put together? Do we know? I'm not sure.
At least thousands of years ago. And if these were just ordinary massive stones just moved to a certain spot today, it wouldn't be anywhere near an issue. It's the historical legacy of this formation that goes back thousands of years, and the fact that our ancestors were able to construct this, considering their archaic capabilities. This is a monument of great importance that rivals, say, the pyramids of Giza and of other areas.
Yeah, I just Googled it because I wanted to know for sure. And normally that's the kind of thing I would have looked up already. Apparently, it was constructed in several phases between 3100 BC and 1600 BC. So anywhere from between 3,000 to 4,000 years ago.
Yeah, 3,500 to 5,000 years ago.
Something like that. Yeah. That is astonishing. Actually, I didn't know it was even that old. I thought it was at least after, the modern calendar. But no, fucking hell, pre-Roman.
Yep.
That is quite incredible. And by a long stretch as well.
And everyone who has ever conquered that area has not dared to desecrate that wonder, because they
thousands of years.
Yeah, they considered it to be a wonder. Now the Romans.
Well, that's a good point, Ryan.
I mean, the Romans are a great example, because when they conquered what they considered to be most of Britannia, what we now know as England, Wales, and southern Scotland, they didn't go into Hibernia, which is northern Scotland, Caledonia, that sort of thing. They respected the monument because it was a great wonder that they didn't know how to build themselves. It was even beyond their capability.
Yeah, we don't know how they did it, do we?
The Romans made great wonders of their own. The Roman roads, which still stand to this day, the Colosseum, which is a wonder. I mean, some nations on Earth cannot build stadiums like the Romans did with their Colosseum. That's how advanced they were. Sometimes thousands of years more advanced than even today, because not everyone can build a fucking stadium, folks, especially in the third world. But the point is, not even they, considering the Romans' militaristic nature, desecrate this great wonder. But these fuckers have. It just goes to show that the battle of the 21st century is a mental and psychological one. Psychological warfare has been used to indoctrinate a portion of all of our populations, to destroy our civilization from within, and who knows whether it's a sinister group behind the scenes or fucking aliens, for all we know. But something nefarious is driving these people insane, and that's why it's so important to highlight the problem, find the solution, and be the solution in that respect.
I think what's kind of funny, what these clowns don't seem to realize, you've got a 73-year-old and a 21-year-old. That 21-year-old can't now go visit any country in the EU, can't come to the States, can't do anything, because they will have a criminal record. They've destroyed their own lives.
Completely. You're right.
And they do it just because, oh, look, we're making a statement. You've just desecrated one of the more ancient wonders. What do you think is going to happen to you?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that you said, though, the fact that whole armies have marched across this land, and for thousands of years, plenty of fucking armies and plenty of battles have taken place, and none of them resulted in the desecration of this, because somebody at least looked at it and thought, somebody probably worked really hard on that. At least they would have thought that.
It was sacred ground for the pagans, of which the Christians respected. And throughout many conquests, many invasions back and forth over the centuries, including the English Civil War, it just goes to show that throughout history, not even the fucking Germans bombed this damn thing to oblivion, because they respected it as a wonder.
There used to be a code of conduct even in war. And now we look at these little oily pricks, and they have no fucking honor. They have no fucking code. They are savages, effectively, dressed up like civilized people. And they claim that there's nothing beyond their reach of what they should do to stop us using fucking oil. It's absurd. The only silver lining of this whole thing, of course, let me zoom in a little bit, has been the response from people. Now, of course, they're very proudly posting it themselves. And of course, they're saying, help us take megalithic action. Oh, you guys, you're so fucking clever, aren't you? You smart ass little pricks. Well, no. And it turns out that a lot of people are not very happy. I said public flogging. Someone said you're psychotic and should be locked away for years, if not decades. Nina Infinity, you may know her from other channels, said congratulations on she's a nice girl. She's got a good head on her shoulders, especially when it comes to bullshit and drama between different channels. I like the way she thinks. Congratulations on making everyone hate you and not oil. That's very good. Somebody put fucking idiots. I really like this one.
Maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's the secret power of the stones. If you mess with them, everyone fucking hates you.
I mean, the thing is, at this point, if it wasn't the UK, right, if it was the pyramids or something like that, I'd be just as damn furious. Because,
I was just going to say, Will, a great example of this, although it wasn't desecration, it was destruction. When ISIS destroyed the ruins of Palmyra, it created so much of an international backlash that the United States and their allies in the region, along with the Russian Federation and their allies in the region, managed to agree to coordinate their forces against the Islamic State and practically crush that force out of existence. I mean, I never see the day when Syrians, Iraqis, and Kurds, with their allies in the US and Russia, would work together because of one, not just an atrocity of killing people en masse, which ISIS did do, but also the cultural destruction that they had unleashed. So that kind of backlash can happen when you target wonders, whether it's desecration or destruction. You are kicking human history in the bollocks.
And whether you're part of that country or that culture or just not, you still have to respect at a certain point any humans who achieved unbelievable feats of greatness like this, and like Stonehenge, like the pyramids, like all the wonders of the world, really, any of them, or even just older buildings from a few hundred years ago. I'd still say you touch them, you're a fucking dead man.
It's a form of terrorism.
We came from this.
It's a form of terror. It's a form of terrorism, folks, whether it's desecration or destruction. And I would not be surprised. Blooper. I wouldn't be surprised, given the kind of backlash that this is unleashing, that call for Just Stop Oil to be classified as a domestic terrorist organization.
They should be,
because of their subversive activities in regards to infrastructure and historical sites.
I believe that this could be classified as anti-human. In a nutshell, they want us to stop living the way we have lived.
I
And
can
they
tell
want.
you that if these idiots had tried that with the pyramids, they would have lost their hands because
If
that's
they tried it, there's someone even said in one of these comments, somewhere far down on one of the posts, they said, "All right, then send them to China. Let's see them try and do that to the Great Wall. See what fucking happens." Yeah.
Even civilizations like the Arabs in Egypt, and let's be honest, folks, Muslims do have a history of destroying cultural wonders. I mean, the ISIS example is a recent one, but it's not the only one. Even the Egyptian Arabs, the Muslim Arabs there, respect the wonders of the pyramids in regards to its cultural impact. With China, of course, Chinese Communist Party nearly destroyed all of their great artifacts, but they protected the wall because it was the symbol of the republic that they were fighting for. And it just goes to show that in this case, this desecration, it's egregious beyond a level we have seen in the 21st century in the Western world.
Absolutely. And I think I'm more or less stealing this phrase from Metal Gear Solid, but there's no such thing as an enemy in absolute terms. And eventually, with enough history behind you, everything that's been done by anyone becomes something to be marveled at. Even if it was someone who traditionally was an enemy of your own culture, it doesn't matter. It was people that worked hard and did something because they thought it was worth doing. And it ended up enduring because of how well they did it, and it doesn't deserve to be defaced by a bunch of oily little ticks who have no fucking clue what the hell. They're barely even born. I mean, I can't believe one of them is 71. That's old enough to have lived in post-war.
Yeah,
like,
it just
how
goes
do you not know what you're doing?
It just goes to show how deep the indoctrination is. That's why the Cold War never ended, folks. The history of these anti-global warming groups, whether it's Just Stop Oil or, to use an older example, Greenpeace, they were subversive elements sponsored by the communist East to undermine, Western confidence in fossil fuels and in nuclear capabilities. And Just Stop Oil is a modern equivalent. I don't know if they're being backed by the communists in the East now, but they're definitely
they're
being
backed by Soros or something.
Yeah, they're backed by subversive elements, Soviet agents, for lack of a better term, that have infested the Western world.
They're even losing their own supporters, as you can see from this tweet here. I was a supporter, but you're just vandals. Overall, I would say that the majority of the responses that I've seen to this have been from people who once agreed with them and now just say that they've lost the plot. This person said, "I'm sorry, but you've just lost my support doing that. By all means, have a pop at capitalist commercial targets, but that's a deeply significant spiritual sight to many that are likely to support you." That's true. Hippies, for Christ's sakes, you're literally turning everybody against you by doing this. He says, "Give yourselves a head wobble."
Why not target
why
not target an oil refinery or a gas field or a fucking pumping station? I don't know. Something that actually does harm the environment from your twisted perspective.
Oh, I mean, the ultimate irony would be to cover these fuckers in oil and then set them on fire. But oh well, that's not going to happen in Britain.
Just stop oil.
James Op member for 2 months. Wow, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Says, I would beat them loopy with the canisters. And while I'm on the subject as well, Andy C just gifted 5 Will of the Fans memberships. Thank you very, very. Anyway, continuing then, we get on and we can see that the people responsible were, of course, arrested. They didn't do anything to try to prevent that. They were just sitting there. They posted pictures themselves doing it. They're fucking proud of it. Their names are Rajan, I guess, and I don't even want to try and pronounce this one. Nimrod. Who fucking cares? Artooleetoo says we're all very handsome. Thank you.
Oh my! Let me try and pronounce these names: Rajan and Nima.
Nima. There's no. Oh well, that's not my spelling, but whatever.
Very British names, right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, extremely, yeah.
If this had been
look,
China, they would have been shot on the spot.
yes, they would have. Yeah, there'd be a Tiananmen Square kind of situation happening. Anyway, they go on to try and act like, but this is an interesting one. Someone called Hassan Sabah with Arabic in their name said, "We are not even in the top 15 countries. I dare you to do the same thing in China." Now, of course, there is China in terms of metric tons of carbon dioxide produced. China, of course, is double and then some the United States. Then there's India, Russia, Japan, Indonesia, Iran, Germany, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Turkey, and South Africa. Not the UK. Interesting. So misguided. You certainly got a reaction, and your Twitter analytics must be through the roof. But now read those reactions: anger, disbelief, and condemnation. Who on earth thought Stonehenge was a good icon to desecrate? Fuck off to China and stop oil, wankers. Someone says, hope they get sent to prison. This is so good. Rajan, so a foreign invader just vandalized an ancient British monument. 2-year prison sentences will do the trick. I don't think so. I think they need to be quite a lot more punished than that.
Bring back public punishment. Beat the crap out of
Steve's favorite word there, of course, as well. You are not heroes. You are not the world's saviors. We do not appreciate your actions. And apparently, the paint is removable. It will wash off with rain, according to them. Magikarp Diem, unfortunately, whose name is Let It Goku as well. I just made me laugh. Said, "Oh, I didn't know it was removable. Still death penalty."
Well, according to the weather for London, England, it's not going to rain in about a week. So, yeah.
Yeah, they said there's no climate crisis, you utter fools. In fact, there's another good meme of that here from Declaration of Memes. The world has a corruption crisis, not a climate one. If you keep scrolling down, I got a little further than that, or was it another post? I'm going to try and keep going. No, I haven't found that meme. Oh, well. The point is, people are pissed off, and there was a very interesting meme in one of these. I'm going to continue to try to find. Aha, found you. There it is. The 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, or autumn if you're not American, and winter, or as liberals would call it, climate change.
And that's the key argument. Yeah, it's the key argument. The climate changes all the time, and if temperatures do increase and if water levels rise, well, guess what? Humanity will adapt. Look at the Netherlands, a great success story in regards to land reclamation. And if you don't do it properly, look at Bangladesh, a third world shithole that's being flooded with actual water that will clean the country. So
that's right.
Like London could copy Venice and charge people an entrance to get into London. You know, you just like, sorry, we're flooded, just pay the entrance fee.
And thank God for community notes, because somebody has pointed out here the stones at Stonehenge, which are protected under the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Areas Act. Oh dear indeed. Have multiple rare lichen growing on them, which are also protected species.
Like a shield.
Whoops. That's not exactly what they were planning to achieve, really, was it?
That's why we need public executions.
How do we save the environment, folks? I know. Let's destroy the environment. How do we stop a nuclear war, folks? Let's set off a nuclear bomb.
When I say get in the sea, you know, that tends to mean you're not worthy to live on land with the rest of us civilized people, and these are the kinds of fuckers that I'm talking about. These people need to be put under the prison. Somebody has to start taking these fucking people who desecrate works of priceless art and incredible feats of engineering and literally just shoot me in the knees or something, just on live television.
Engineering.
Pre-industrial engineering.
I think Will's solution to the problem is what I call a Libya then, because that's exactly what Colonel Gaddafi would do
that is
to
what
those
would happen.
who desecrated his monuments and his posters.
I don't want to have to say this stuff. I really don't. I'm not this guy by nature.
Well, desperate times do lead to desperate measures. And this is a desperate time where subversive elements across the entire Western world are sabotaging not just historical sites, but key strategic sites to keep us going as a civilization. Never mind keeping us growing, keeping us going.
Morale in the toilet.
Exactly.
They've got this in their heads, in entertainment, in media, in news, everything. And of course, these fucking little cancerous cockroach groups like Just Stop Oil have all been programmed to believe that the things that got us to where we are as a species are bad. That somehow all the good things that man and mankind, and I guess womankind, if you really want to be equal about this, have achieved together is bad. It's all terrible, and we need to start acting like we all just materialized out of nowhere, and thus it becomes okay to desecrate the achievements of better men.
That's why in recent human history, authoritarian and totalitarian regimes rose out of the chaos of liberalism and democracy, because liberalism and democracy failed the people and led to all sorts of insane things happening, which is why you got authoritarianism and totalitarianism. It's why you got order to conquer the chaos, to keep the borders secure, to ensure that our heritage is preserved. And yeah, the pendulum is starting to swing. But if those who swing it fail, then it's only going to go more extreme to find the solution, because people are desperate for it. They want things to be better, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to ensure it gets better.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, I mean, that's a terrible thing that happened. These people should get dealt with in the harshest possible way. They should suffer absolutely everything, and be made to go fuck themselves somewhere else other than this planet. However, we can't stay furiously angry all the time, and we do have a couple other things to cover. First of all, we've got, let's decide. We can either talk about Star Wars, or we can talk about Gamergate. It's up
rather
to you.
Talk about Gamergate. I don't want to talk about the fucking Acolyte.
We are going to have to watch that fucking video at some point, though, because I have promised now. So tough titties. But
no.
Before that, then, I can at least stick this stupid article up by this alleged woman who goes by Keza McDonald.
What kind of name
that's
is
the
that?
Guardian, right? That's the Guardian.
Yeah, it's the Guardian. It's the Guardian sticking their fucking ridiculous nose where it doesn't belong into Gamergate. And unfortunately, this woman, who I think used to work for Kotaku, is now writing for the Guardian.
All I did was look at her, not read that, and I could tell that she worked for Kotaku. She's got the Karen hairstyle. Well,
you don't even need to read the entire thing to see that this is their attempt to smear Gamergate 2 in the way that they smeared Gamergate 1. Now, Gamergate 1, for those who don't know, it's going to be briefly explained poorly in the first paragraph. But, it all started with Zoe Quinn and the trading sex for good reviews and stuff like that. And people got tired of it, and it became an indictment on all journalism. Unfortunately, most of the people in the journalism who were responsible for exactly the same thing they are right now, which is effectively Smash JT's nose ring mafia. It's the same bunch of people that it was 10 years ago. They're still there, and they've only bolstered their ranks and increased their influence. And we were angry, gamers were angry, and we wanted better from our journalists. They wanted to be talking about games, not gamers. Unfortunately, that's not how it happened, and they won, and that's why I have on numerous occasions now brought up the Wikipedia article titled Gamergate, which describes it as an anti-female harassment campaign, when it was in fact a customer revolt against journalistic standards, flagging standards of integrity.
A lot has changed, though, Will, in 10 years. I think, and the tide is turning, not just in popular culture, but also in the real world, the physical world, and in the political world. And where we'll be in 10 years' time, I have no idea. Hopefully, we will all live to see the triumph of the based element of civilization, the reality-based element of civilization. But these people, they've lost trust. In 10 years, Trust in journalism has gone through the floor, not just
I mean, it was in the toilet 10 years ago as well. Matter of fact, it was in the toilet for as long as I've been alive. I remember my mum telling me that you should never trust the newspapers.
Well, that was more covert back then than it is
Yeah.
now. It's overt distrust, where people are so sick and tired of mainstream journalism that they are willing to stand up in the public domain and say you are egregious liars.
Well, I mean, the thing is that they know their days are numbered. They know they've been replaced. They know that we are the ones replacing them, and they hate us for it. So their tactics are to try and smear us and play up like we don't have access to all the same information they do, which we, of course, do. And to not only that, but also attempt to sensationalize and conspire together to preserve themselves, ultimately only hastening their own destruction because, again, the trust is in the toilet. It's gone. And apparently I've got some emails that I've received during the course of the stream that I need to check out as well. But while we're on the page, let's at least see what Keza McDonald has got to say. She says, 10 years ago, a game developer's aggrieved ex-boyfriend published a vindictive screed accusing her of trading sex for favorable reviews of her indie game. Okay, so this is obviously Zoe Quinn and her boyfriend, whose name for some reason is escaping me right now, didn't just post a screed accusing her. He posted multiple dozens of screenshots of her messages and pictures and things to prove that she was in fact trading sex for favorable reviews of what barely qualifies as a game at all, but was more than anything just a browser-based text generation game. It was an interactive story with no pictures. It was called Depression Quest, and it was depressing to play. It was leapt upon, according to this woman, of course, and remember that nothing she's saying is actually accurate, by the least savory corner of the 2014 internet, 4chan, and kicked off a harassment campaign that broadened to include all women working in video game development or the gaming press, as well as the industry's LGBTQ plus community. Absolute hogwash. That's not what happened at all. It was focused entirely on the nose ring mafia, which, and to your point earlier, Ryan, yeah, the tide isn't just turning, it's turned. We are Gamergate too, and we cannot be stopped.
Well, the legacy of the original Gamergate was the Trump presidency. And not many people realize that the process, that the domino effect, which this article does point out, it points out the domino effect, that the legacy of Gamergate, probably the only thing this article got right, was that the legacy of the original Gamergate was the Trump presidency, the power of alternative media, not just in popular culture, but also in the political realm. That's why in 2017 and 2018, mainstream social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, did their damnedest to suppress and deplatform prominent alternative media sources and keep up those who are either ineffective or too small to make a difference, which then led to the highly contested 2020 situation, which was one hell of a tumultuous year. So no wonder these fuckers are terrified of Gamergate 2, because what will
they're
the
terrified
legacy
of free information.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that too. What will the legacy of Gamergate 2 be? Because the legacy of the original Gamergate drove them absolutely insane.
Well, I mean, they're even worse already in Gamergate 2, because we already have, like, Smash JT's real name floating around, pictures of his children on the internet, all from their side, all from the journalists. They went straight to the nuclear option as soon as they possibly could. It was doxing, harassment, and I mean real harassment, by the way, not the kind that they say is harassment, which is basically just arguing with them.
They try to gaslight you. They try to gaslight you.
By their definition, what we are doing, reporting on this publicly available article, is harassing Keza McDonald. We are not harassing Keza McDonald. We are saying that she's a liar.
Which we can prove quite simply.
Very easily, yeah.
And that's why
you don't even need to... Go on.
Well, I was just going to say that the tactics are the same. They try to gaslight you to oblivion. And if they were the only source of information, then that would work. but they're not. There are alternatives, and they are growing, while the establishment institutions are at best stagnating or at worst bleeding out to the point where they cannot function without government subsidy.
Absolutely right. She says this week, and this is an article from right at the start when we all started using the term Gamergate 2. So around about February. It says this week a 16-person narrative design studio found itself at the center of a conspiracy theory. Yeah, I think I will play it. Why not? Let's just fucking have that come out, shall we?
Go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them. With the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
But hey, that's just a theory. A theory.
That 10-second clip proves that this article is full of lies.
Completely fallacious, yeah.
Second, it's like the 20th century of media taking on the 21st century of media. A simple 10-second clip, practically a meme at this point, completely destroys the credibility of this article.
Yep, absolutely right. Absolutely right. So that more or less is the only point that's worth bringing up in the article, except that this is a pathetic attempt, of course, to defend Sweet Baby Inc. And now that Sweet Baby Inc. is in the news again, because we have finally got the piece of information that we needed in yesterday's stream. We talked at length about the revelation that IGN was only writing hit piece articles against that new game, Black Myth Wukong. Yeah, to effectively punish them for refusing to take the $7 million and pay it to Sweet Baby Inc. in exchange for not having articles like that written about it. It is literally a protection racket. And that is why these people are, in fact, a mafia. As Smash JT's coined Nose Ring Mafia, that's good enough for me. And she goes on for absolutely ages to explain everything we already know to be completely and utterly untrue. It mentions Nathan Grayson. Oh, yeah, there he is. And Alyssa McCante, who investigated the origins and sprawling nature of the Sweet Baby conspiracy theory. But where are we now? Alyssa McCante is melting down and calling the internet out for a fight. A physical fight while clearly intoxicated on a post-game show couch.
I think that's why many fine folks and fellow creators, including myself, including Will, spotlight the Mercante creature. It's simple. She is the avatar of our opposition, and she's batshit crazy. She's the weakest link. Yeah, she's a living embodiment of discredibility for the entertainment establishment and for mainstream video games journalism. That's why we spotlight her. And while she has a prominent role at Kotaku, she will continue to be exposed for the batshit crazy cosplaying as a journalist, digital prostitute, for lack of a better series of words. That's my view.
No, that's a perfectly good description. She is
for her, but I'm too nice to say mom pump. No, I mean she's a fucking she doesn't even play games. She just sits there and dreams up new ways to come after us.
This game's about me. Elden Ring DLC is about me.
Yeah.
Me physically.
Where is it? Where is she? Where's her article? Oh my god. Where is her Kotaku?
If you're gonna fuck up to that extent, don't do it trying to review Elden Ring DLC.
We're battling demons and sex workers, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're battling.
It's madness, isn't it? The thing about Mercante, right, is that she not only is she the perfect avatar, the reason she is the perfect avatar is because she's also the weakest link among them. She is the loudest, emptiest vessel in all of their midst. The rest of them, to their credit, I suppose, have at least been able to maintain an air of phony baloney professionalism while secretly doxing people and harassing them, like Nick Calandra, for example, who we all know he's a disgusting cold sore on the face of humanity. But it's very difficult to prove it as he gets other people to do his dirty work for him when he's harassing Smash JT and getting his website taken down. We know it's him, but it's very difficult to prove it. Alyssa Macante, on the other hand, is a reeing, screeching, puking, mewling mess of a woman who is actually having a mental breakdown in front of us because we have the ability and the platform to say, no, Alyssa, you're wrong. And what's more, you're massively biased. And we know that you're corrupt. So don't even try to convince us. And she just cannot fucking handle it. And she's letting down their whole side. If I was them, I would throw her under the bus immediately. If I was going to be conducting myself as disgustingly and disgracefully as they regularly do. Why they haven't completely like just axed her and got rid of her, I don't know, because she is giving us all the ammunition we need to take down their entire fucking subset of journalism.
I think she's built a cult of her own, and if Kotaku purge her, then she'll set up as a one-man band, maybe as a content creator,
That would be
attract
hilarious.
a cult following, whether it's of
So funny.
supporters or detractors, and they fear that because in Kotaku's case, they fear that because Mercante knows how they operate.
Oh,
She's
going
their
after them, you think?
senior editor. Yes, that
That's
is what
actually,
I believe.
That would be juicy enough for me to go full EVS and start just doing podcasts about them fighting each other.
Yeah, and that's why they keep her on, because she does have a support base.
And she's got dirt on them.
Exactly, that too. So if she is thrown under the bus, she will pick up that bus and throw it at them.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Oh, please. I'd love to see that.
And
That would
that's
be
why she's the gift that's why she's the gift that keeps on giving, because she has that batshit crazy approach that exposes her and her supporters for what she is. But the opposition can't get rid of her, because if they did, she would turn her sword on them, which would benefit us greatly.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it'd be better for them if they didn't throw her under the bus. Well, it's true, I suppose. Yeah, that's a good point, right? Well done. But yes, of course, we should point out that she's insane. She wrote this article supposedly to review Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, but compares absolutely every aspect of playing it to being attacked by misogynists online.
I mean, who's Atreus gonna be?
Is
he going to be a big boss? Is he going to have like 50 heads and they're all be like, we trip and trap and tripping?
If I had the time, I would totally fucking animate a few intro cutscenes of bosses descending from the rafters with like our names over them, like I did with
and our heads.
I'd love to do that. I just don't think I have the time at the moment with the baby and everything, but I would totally do that. Anyway, just to elucidate another point, because of course this woman, Keza McDonald, has automatically earned her spot on Smash JT's Kotaku detected list, and rightly so. I really am enjoying watching him gaining in confidence as he realizes
because it's personal now. If he fails, he's fucked, and that's why it's personal. Because if Gamergate 2 collapses, Smash JT is completely fucked, and his family's fucked as well. If these rabid bastards purge him and his funding sources.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, if we all stop paying attention, if we all stop paying attention to what they're doing to him, then he's screwed, which is why I've covered absolutely every step of it, because safety in numbers, I suppose. And I like the guy and I like his work. So absolutely. Using my limited reach, I can defend him somewhat,
Won't be limited for long, Will, the way you're going.
Doctor Who can only last so long, mate. No, I've got some good people here, and this stream is a big hit, so I'm very happy with that. Just a little bit of extra info about who Keza McDonald is then. She is a former Kotaku journalist, I believe, who featured on such things as the Kind of Funny Games cast with our old friend Greg Miller and the ultimate sellout Tim Geddes. But also with our dear old Tim Geddes. He
Oh,
was
I
actually
thought you was-
he was actually listed in something like Time Magazine's 30 Under 30 at one point. This guy, and I don't know why. I never saw anything in the dude as a presenter or any kind of on-air talent. He's just a dude. Nothing remarkable about him in any way. There's more remarkable about Greg fucking Miller, for that matter. Look.
There's hypotheses and conclusions.
Objectively provable.
Mhm.
That's all that matters.
And
What's up with her voice? It's really deep for a woman.
all the way from far away.
Maybe she's a TV.
We got Keza McDonald here.
And there's Greg Miller being Greg fucking Miller. This used to be these are the guys that used to do the Beyond podcast on IGN back when IGN still had a little bit of respectability about it. Then they branched out on their own and created Kind of Funny. And that was going quite well for a moment until, unfortunately, Colin Moriarty got screwed by his best friend, Greg Miller. And if you don't remember this, I've mentioned it a few times in the past. And I think I've got something to do with it around here somewhere. Colin Moriarty was responsible for a tweet quite a while ago. This is a long time ago. This is 7 years ago now. They were having National Women's Day, and Colin Moriarty made a tweet which was not too well appreciated by the women involved. He basically tweeted, peace and quiet, a day without a woman, because his girlfriend wasn't there with him. It's just a little joke, just a little joke. He had some peace and quiet. And don't get me wrong, Colin Moriarty is a fantastic journalist. He is one of the only remaining examples of games journalism that's actually worth listening to from a true professional. And basically, everybody lost their minds with him. A few people pointed out that this joke was not at all offensive. It's fucking fine. Women sometimes think men are annoying too. But then here comes your friend, Colin Moriarty's roommate, actually, if you know enough about these two guys, Greg Miller. At the time, Moriarty was at no taxation, but apparently he now is at Long Island Viper, if you want to follow him. And you should. He does good work. But Greg Miller totally threw Colin Moriarty under the bus in his response to this scandalous tweet, which again is peace and quiet, no woman around today, which is in reference to his girlfriend and something his girlfriend would have laughed at. Greg Miller, his alleged best friend, comes out and says, hey, with so many of you asking me about Colin's tweet, I wanted to talk to him in person before I said anything here. If you know me, I mean, already you're like, why is this so serious?
The snake is sharpening his knife.
Right? If you know me, you know I hate feeding into internet drama, but with this involving a friend, a partner, and a business, it's a bit different. I fall into the camp that believes the tweet was in poor taste. Colin and I have spoken about that at length. I'm personally sorry to the best friends, that's what he calls his audience, who felt slighted on a day meant to celebrate. Was Colin's tweet a joke? Sure, but that doesn't make it okay. Blah, blah, bollocks. He dropped out of PAX East, he dropped out of all these shows, and then he basically left Kind of Funny under a cloud because he'd been thrown under the bus.
Well, talk about a disingenuous bastard.
No, Greg Miller is a rat, absolutely. And at the time, I remember I used to watch their stuff quite a lot before I got truly red-pilled. And it was around about Gamergate 1 when it was going on. And I used to watch their stuff because they were good at what they did. But they just seemed to be getting an increasing number of these fucking sycophantic idiots on their show talking more about politics. And that was something that started me down the road to where I am now. I always enjoyed Moriarty, though. And I realized that the reason was Moriarty was a Republican. And he would talk massive piles of common sense as a Republican that did a lot to repair most people's perception of Republicans. And I think they were just waiting for any reason to get rid of him. The reason this has come up at all, of course, is because Keza McDonald, who, of course, is writing articles in The Guardian about Gamergate and how we're all awful, awful people. So there you go. Do with that what you will.
Well, we may be awful people, Will, but if we have the will of the people, doesn't matter how awful we are, we have the power, and you are fucked. Wink, wink.
I mean, if I'm such an awful person, then I guess that's my brand. But at least I do honest reviews of things.
Mm.
And I don't.
You're not an awful person, Rev. You just have a critical mind and standards, and they can't stand people who have standards, because people who have standards don't put up with this sort of shit mediocrity that they constantly spew out.
No, Will, it's quite clear that Dobby is our Joseph Goebbels. I'm the Hermann Goering character, obviously. You see,
wasn't Hermann Goering a transvestite?
No, he was
pretty
not.
Sure.
Fake news.
Pretty sure Goering
when
was
we
a
lose
transvestite.
when we lose the culture war, they'll put me on trial. I'll be the most prominent one they have left. Then I will make amazing speeches. They will then find me guilty and try to hang me, but then I will swallow poison and go, ha ha, fuckity bye.
Apparently, yeah, Goering might have been a transvestite.
No, not true. Fake news.
Certainly an exhibitionist, according to
absolute fake news. Not true.
All right, Trump. Whatever you say, mate. We can go through our memes again that we received yesterday. We've got this one, of course, the Nose Ring Mafia, and better learn how to squabble. Atreus would be proud.
I got to make a start. Baby squabbling, squabbling, squabbling. We be squabbling, squabbling, squabbling. Yeah, you'd like that. He likes that kind of
shit. It's the motherfucking RRA. Kotaku.com traffic share by device. I did this. Whoa.
I'd like to see where that figure is in June, because it has been a good few months. Maybe they track back up. Maybe it only goes down when she writes an article.
Could be, man.
I'm working so hard to increase viewership, and it's like this woman comes along and tanks our viewership figures.
And that's it, yeah. And there she is again, the demonic version of Alyssa. Just there we go, yeah.
Atreus Wood.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I may be an awful person, but I'm very good at what I do. Aggressively relaxing person.
Who, Dobby? I don't know what you're referring to.
In that chat.
Where? I can't.
The retard.
I see Bman. I see James.
I'm proud to be awful, but I have fun with what I do.
I see R2. I don't know what you're referring to, Dobby. I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway, so there you go. There's the memes, and I suppose we also have to do the other thing that I said we would do.
Oh no, not the video.
I'm afraid it's going to be the video. I just need to get it queued up. And then we're going to have to watch this bloody thing because, well, apparently we have no choice. So hang on a moment and I will get this.
Stay tuned, folks, as we react to a brown Jewish female actress who is at the head of the worst Star Wars project of all time.
And keep in mind, she's a millionaire as well.
Well,
so apparently, I mean, first of all, everybody is well aware by now that this show has been terribly received. The Acolyte, no one is into it. Everybody hates it. Even the people who thought Last Jedi was good absolutely hate it. There's very little that can be said about this, and this extremely spoiled, protected, brattish woman has decided that she needs to put out a song. Which I think Bman, was it you, kindly recorded for us so that I could make damn sure I've got it so we can watch it. Apparently, this is a song by Ariane Daignault. Why did you need to add an L? Why?
So she could take it.
Well, she ever takes this fucking L's. Yeah, that's it. All right, fuck it. Let's give it a go then. See what happens in this piece of shit. Can you hear it? Just let me know if you guys can hear the sound, okay? Can you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, no!
Jesus Christ.
Is she in a camp?
This is a Disney actress, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Disney... This is Disney.
What the fuck is this? Oh my god.
She's trying to be
Given
Taylor
the
Swift.
1.5 minute hold up.
Oh, dude, what
I'm
the
gonna turn
fuck?
you into George Floyd, yahoo!
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
I thought somebody was trolling me when I first saw this video on X, and then I
I
realized
did.
The question
Yeah.
is, folks, is that her real hair?
no, it's probably a wig. It has to be a wig.
I don't. That's what you're asking. I'm just sort of wondering when this woman lost her frontal cortex, because. Oh my god. This isn't even fucking music. What is this? That's not even singing. It's not rap either. It's like aggressive whispering.
This is my means. Trevor asked what I want the people to know.
Oh god, this is amateur shit.
I said white people cry. What?
Oh wow, racist.
Come and watch
fool.
the Acolyte tonight! 3 million views in the
An L, bitch. A big fucking L. That's what we think.
I say empathy.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, what is this shit? What the fuck is this shit?
It's like Disney came up with a way to torture people, and they came up with this as a
Are
way.
we crying? Are we
Who
crying?
told this woman to do this?
Her
What the
masters.
fuck? Oh my god, this is. I've never seen anything so retarded. This is a
Ladies
new
and
level of
gentlemen,
retardation.
This is Disney, ladies and gentlemen. This
What
is
is
what
this? Why does this exist?
This is what happens when you mix Africa and Israel. Just
Oh!
insane shit happens.
Bman, you poor bastard. I feel so sorry that you did this for us. Thank you. But oh my god.
They splice lines, make hate, they recognize, make it look like the same property.
Oh no. Oh, please just go back to acting. At least
This
you're
is
only a
why
little
the
bit.
Acolyte collapsed! This is
At
why
least-
Disney Star Wars sucks! This is why everything is crap! We gotta make pop culture great again, man!
Oh my god, Ryan's actually better. So
she
I can
can't
whisper
act anyway.
shout as well, oh yeah!
this is the woman who's acting in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And in response to being incredibly unpopular and part of the worst thing Star Wars has ever done, and because it happens to be the 19th of June, she decided to kill us. I don't know what to do with my life
Happy
anymore.
Africa Day, everyone! Happy Africa Day!
Because they conflate our pain with violence and try to weaponize.
This is shit.
Then keep in mind, this is the same idiot who plays a character that does this whole "come at me with everything you got" as I just magically try to kill a Jedi who's got a false bubble around him.
I need there to be a reason I'm doing this.
Remember when I said, folks, no, the Force isn't female, the Force is fucked?
I think I'd rather watch the gay kiss from Doctor Who
Hmm.
for about another hour, round and around on a loop.
Folks,
than
none
watch
of
the
us
end
are
of this.
crying, by the way. I mean,
No.
if you want,
Oh,
if
I
you
love the
want-
way they say we're crying. No,
if you
we're
want-
not. I'm
if you want to
appalled,
see,
but I'm
if you
alive.
want to see someone crying, just find Encutty, call him a pufter, and he will cry you an ocean so big that all of Africa's children will be
We'll
able
learn
to
to
drink.
swim.
That too.
The desperation of the masses is rising.
There are people in the world who actually think like this.
You want to know something even funnier?
Oh,
So Disney
man.
promoted this whole fucking thing with a Wookiee being a Jedi, and yet they couldn't even be fucking bothered to have a fight showing the Wookiee being a fucking Jedi. But no, they didn't have the money. That was their official.
Do you know what the Force is, folks? The
This fucking thing is the most tone deaf thing I've ever seen in my life.
Force
What
is white
is it?
power, folks.
What's
The
it
Force
for?
is white power.
Who is it for? What is this? What the fuck is this?
This is fucking hilarious, man. This is funnier than the Acolyte.
This got more ratings than the Acolyte.
This is tragic.
These people are so desperate for attention because their shows are collapsing that they create shit like this that is more popular and has way lower budget and causes their opponents, us, to laugh ourselves to death. Maybe you should do more of this because you might actually win through this this scenario.
Please don't leave, people. Join the channel, and I'll stop playing it.
pure cringe right here, folks. I mean, this woman is a product of white supremacy.
That hair has to be fake. I'm sorry, that hair's got to be fake.
You're just jealous, Dobby, of her great hair.
How do I get through the rest of this? There's another minute.
Oh, you haven't seen
Atreus would.
yet.
Our opponents are sex workers.
Watch me be a fucking whore for political reasons.
Vote Biden and you might have sex with a
I can
black
dance
woman.
better than that. We're so bored. Don't fuck with your discourse. What does it mean? What does it fucking mean?
I'll tell you one thing, Will. Atreus would still smash.
I mean, she's not a bad-looking woman, but Jesus Christ.
Goodness.
I mean, I can't say I wouldn't, but, now I wouldn't. I mean, how could you possibly when you've seen someone doing this? I mean...
This is what Disney's home with.
What are these dance moves? She's so bad. I thought actors could dance.
Oh my goodness.
She's got this super serious facial expression on at the same time.
It's working.
Like, aggressively using my
It's
vagina.
working, folks. Will is laughing himself to death. It's working.
She's got this hyper serious, aggressive look on her face where she's just gyrating like a goddamn fucking.
We're having so much
Dutch
fun.
Prostitute.
We're having so much fun with this, folks, that we're actually into overtime.
Oh shit!
Oh my goodness.
That has to be a good song.
I have to know how it ends.
And now you're listening, I'm gonna tell you something.
I ain't listening, bitch.
Bastardized and appropriated. That's what they call.
Wait, who's she having a go at now? The people who bastardized the word woke are the people we're having a go at.
Something with creators. Truth to power.
And it's 100 years ago too, you stupid
And I
bitch.
am for you semi-racist. And now they use it to describe me to debate.
I have never seen a black woman with no tits and no ass before.
And no fucking ability to dance. Alright, skip to the end.
See you give up on your life, that's your money and views. And I can tell that the people are tired and the kids don't trust anything they do. We can learn something from them someday. The future's coming and it's
Oh,
Thank God
The
it ended.
future's coming, and it's always
that's the last
youth.
time anything ever will come around her. Oh, dude. Fucking going like this, and yeah, she's got this face on, like hyper serious, like oh no, oh no.
I expect nothing less when your last name is Stenberg. Very
YouTube is blocking super chats. Are we demonetized?
Probably.
We had fun.
I don't know. But monetization is supposed to be on. I don't know.
Every
And
time
didn't
we
even
have
say the
fun,
3D word.
I mean, every time we have fun as content creators, you always get suppressed. That's how we know we're on the right side of history, folks. If our opinion was so bad, you'd expose it to as many people as possible. but they don't. They suppress us because we resonate.
Oh, there you go. There's a test. Thank you, James Hop, for 2. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, apparently they are working. I don't know what the hell happened there, but thank you anyway. And then, of course, TJAP Steve chiming in as well with another 5 memberships. Thank you very much as well. Good. Okay. Well, so all I need to do to get more super chats is to say it's not working. No, I'm kidding, of course. But thank you, Bookmark, as well for £10. My God. All right.
And
Well,
if any
really
of the
appreciate it.
opposition, and if any of the opposition want to give us super chats to say how evil, bigoted, racist, anti-Semitic, and Islamophobic we are, go right ahead. I will even speak your comments. I will do it.
Oh yeah, I'll read anything they tell me to say if they're paying me. I don't care. I'll do it in a Cartman voice if I think it's stupid.
You should get a cameo, Will.
Yeah, I should. All right, I think we've had enough. Right, I think that's as much ugly as I can take for one day. Tradition is dead, and apparently so are the bounds of good taste as well. Everything is broken, and we can continue to survive it as long as we continue to band together and literally just not fucking let people get away with it. People telling me I gotta literally stop watching Doctor Who. That's the answer. No. Then they get away with it. I'm not going to let them get away with it. Yeah, they can cancel Doctor Who. They can cancel Star Wars. They can stop making all the shit that drives me up the wall. But does that mean I'm going to stop having a go at them? No. I'm going to remind them for the rest of their miserable fucking careers that they're the people who killed Doctor Who and killed Star Wars.
To quote Nikita Khrushchev to our opponents, we will bury you. Only this time we'll actually win, because when Khrushchev said that, he actually lost. But yeah, we will bury you fuckers.
I mean,
yeah, 100%.
Shit for when I review Star Wars, and I'm like, yeah, that's because they got a villain with a fucking zipper head.
Yep.
What a Slitheen.
Yeah.
No, what? It's worse. Do you remember that show Rainbow with Jeremy and Zippy? Whatever his name is?
Unfortunately, folks, we've run out of time. It's conclusion time now. Will, would you proceed with the conclusion?
Yeah, when I feel like it. It's my fucking show. Actually, I need to hold off for 1 second because here for it, is that Australian dollars? I believe it is, right?
I think so.
Is that right?
Might be.
For $14.99. Wow, thank you. Says, what I haven't seen people discuss is that Chib's ratings came with no brand manager, the BBC marketing team, not a Doctor Who one, and no money versus RTD with Disney's money, marketing money, and team, and are getting less ratings than Chib's. How?
6 years. 6 years of just shit. That's how.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think it doesn't matter just how much you market it now. There are too many people who already decided a while ago that they were never coming back. And thank you very much for the super chat. I think that is just all it is. Yeah, if you'd had the money from Disney 6 years ago, then we probably would have, well, any number of things could have happened. It could have been worse for all I bloody know. But at this point, I think if just throwing cash at Doctor Who is not going to save it. It's way too little, way too late, unfortunately. But thank you for the question. Okay, yeah, it is outro time. I'm trying to find some images to get on the screen, but in the meantime, Rev, would you like to pimp yourself? Hey, that is effectively what we do, right?
Show us some dance moves, Rev. Surely you can do better than that African Jewish woman.
No, not today. But yeah, thank you for having me. You can come join me over on reality-based entertainment later today.
I'll be doing wrong channel, but no.
Doctor Who reviews, and we'll see you guys Sunday for WoTF Live.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I cost 50. No, just kidding.
Ryan.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching one of the funniest episodes of WTF Live I can remember, but my memory is not that good. Join us later today at 9 p.m. UK time, which is 4 p.m. Eastern, if I remember correctly, for reality-based entertainment. Dobby's going to be on. Dempsey's going to be on. I just got confirmation that AK Anime Night is able to make it, and Dragon Slayer will be able to make it, although he will be a little late. So if he doesn't turn up, I'm going to fucking shout at him this Saturday for Saturday Night Hypnosis. Of course, you can also check out Reality-Based Gaming, which will be this Friday, as well as Saturday Night Hypnosis, which will be this Saturday. Don't know who the guest is going to be, so I might just recommend someone. You never know what happens. But yeah, you can find me at Brian Roger Athe, host and founder of Reality Based. Recently released a video about Trump considering ending taxes on tips, which seems very interesting, when I was on Woods' show, Countercast. And yeah, expect more shows and more videos over the next few days. So yeah, bye for now.
All right, yeah. And people asking in the chat who this is. This is Urza from, or Elza, if you are of that persuasion, from Fairy Tail, which is a fun little anime, a bit like your Naruto and that kind of. It's a shonen kind of thing, but with magic rather than ninjutsu. It's got some hot chicks, and it's not afraid of a little fan service. So if that's your bag, check it out. As for me, I'll go back to making videos every day for you. I've got a bunch that I've been either meaning to make or have made but haven't uploaded yet because of time constraints, baby scheduling stuff I'm still kind of working out the kinks of. However, I do appreciate absolutely everybody who comes along to watch this show live. It's always an absolute blast. We always have a lot of fun. Sometimes not as much as this, but then we don't always get treasure troves like that fucking music video, alleged music video to watch. But I appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys are absolutely awesome. And also shout outs to Jason Ingram, James Opp, Andy C, James Up Again, R2Lead2, James Up Again, T-Jap Steve, Bookmark, and Here for It for the extra mileage in the super chats and membership donations, you lucky people. I will next be appearing on Saturday Night Hypnosis alongside Ryan, which is at 8 p.m. Eastern time, US time. And after that, we'll be following it up with WoTF Live, where we will be reviewing the finale of this series of Doctor Who, season 114 or 40. So be sure to keep an eye on what I'm up to and what these two lovely gents are up to as well. And we'll be back very, very soon with more entertainment for you. But for now, nothing left to do but just look at the camera, wave like idiots, and say, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.